settle once again into stillness, choosing a posture that supports both comfort and quiet alertness. Let the body feel held by the surface beneath you, supported without effort, as if gravity itself is doing the work for you. Take a slow, easy breath in, and as you breathe out, allow the nervous system to receive the message that there is nothing to push, nothing to prove. This session is about alignment rather than force, about becoming rather than trying. As attention gathers inward, notice the familiar sense of focused calm beginning to arise. This is the state where learning happens most naturally, where the subconscious becomes receptive to patterns that feel coherent and true. Today's work centers on identity, because behavior does not exist in isolation. Every habit, choice, and action flows downstream from how you see yourself, often without conscious awareness. Rather than struggling to control behavior directly, this session invites you to gently reshape the identity that behavior naturally expresses. Begin by noticing the idea of identity itself. Identity is not fixed or solid. It is a collection of stories, assumptions, and emotional associations that the mind carries about who you are. These ideas were built slowly through repetition, experience, and meaning. And because they were learned, they can also evolve. There is no need to reject who you have been. Instead, you are expanding who you can be. As the body relaxes further, imagine stepping into a calm inner space where observation replaces judgment. From this place, reflect on how you currently describe yourself internally. Perhaps there are labels like busy, disciplined, inconsistent, capable, overwhelmed, motivated, or unsure. You do not need to analyze these labels or change them right now. Simply observe them with neutrality. Notice how the subconscious tends to protect consistency. It prefers behaviors that match identity, even if that identity no longer serves you. This is why effort alone often fails. Effort pushes against identity, while alignment works with it. Allow this understanding to settle deeply. Now imagine identity not as a rigid definition, but as a direction. Identity can be thought of as the kind of person you are becoming rather than a fixed description of who you have been. This shift changes everything. Begin to explore the qualities of the identity you are aligning with, not as perfection, but as orientation. You might imagine someone who values clarity, self-respect, steadiness, or growth. Notice how this version of you makes choices not because they must, but because those choices feel natural. The subconscious responds powerfully to identity-based cues. When behavior aligns with identity, action feels lighter and more automatic. As you breathe slowly and evenly, imagine this emerging identity as a gentle presence rather than a goal. You are not chasing it, you are allowing it to come closer. Picture yourself through the lens of this identity during ordinary moments. See yourself choosing supportive actions without drama, such as pausing before reacting, caring for your body, or following through on simple commitments. Let these images arise softly, without trying to control details. The aim is familiarity, not pressure. Atomic habits are born from small, repeated actions that reinforce identity. Hypnosis helps by allowing the subconscious to to rehearse identity-consistent behavior safely and repeatedly. Now bring attention to the idea that every small action is a vote for the type of person you are becoming. This vote does not need to be unanimous or perfect. One action at a time is enough. Allow the subconscious to absorb this idea deeply. You do not need to win every vote to change identity. You need consistency over intensity. This removes pressure and replaces it with patience. Now introduce suggestions that gently align behavior with this evolving sense of self. Suggestions such as I act in ways that reflect who I am becoming, or my choices naturally support my well-being, can be allowed to repeat internally. Let them land as descriptions rather than commands. Identity-based suggestions work best when they feel like recognition rather than instruction. Notice how the body responds when identity and behavior feel aligned. There may be a sense of ease, steadiness, or quiet confidence. Allow this feeling to become familiar. This emotional tone is an anchor the subconscious will remember. Now consider a small habit you would like to embody, not as something you force, but as something that fits. Perhaps it is pausing to breathe, organizing your space, moving your body, or focusing your attention. Rather than focusing on the behavior itself, focus on who does this naturally. Imagine yourself as someone who values consistency, presence, or self-trust. See how the behavior flows from that identity automatically. The mind learns through association. By pairing identity with action in a relaxed state, you remove friction. If resistance appears, notice it with curiosity. Resistance often signals a mismatch between proposed behavior and current identity. Instead of pushing through, adjust the identity lens. Make it more compassionate, more flexible. For example, rather than I am perfectly disciplined, allow a phrase like I am someone who returns gently to what matters. This framing keeps the subconscious engaged rather than defensive. Now allow a few moments where you silently repeat identity-based affirmations that feel authentic and achievable. Phrases such as I am becoming someone who honors small commitments, or I am the kind of person who learns from consistency rather than pressure. Notice which phrases resonate more deeply. Those are the ones your subconscious is ready to integrate. Trust that resonance. As this alignment deepens, imagine how future choices are influenced subtly without conscious effort. Notice how identity quietly filters options, making some choices more attractive and others less relevant. This is not self-control, it is self-coherence. The mind prefers actions that feel consistent with who you believe you are. Now let awareness move into the body again, using sensation as reinforcement. Feel the breath moving smoothly, symbolizing ease. Feel the stability of your posture, symbolizing grounding. Allow these physical cues to pair with the emerging identity. This linking of body and belief strengthens automatic behavior change. Now remind the subconscious that identity evolves through repetition, not intensity. There is no deadline. Change is allowed to be gradual, friendly, and sustainable. Offer reassurance with suggestions like I allow myself to grow at a natural pace, or I trust the process of becoming. These suggestions reduce urgency, which paradoxically increases follow-through. As the session progresses, imagine encountering a moment that once triggered old behavior. See yourself responding slightly differently, not dramatically, just enough to feel aligned. Notice the inner response of recognition, the feeling of "this fits me now." Let that feeling imprint itself. This is how habits rewire. Before concluding, consolidate the session with a quiet internal statement that integrates identity and action, such as "my actions reflect who I am becoming," or "living in alignment feels natural to me." Allow this to settle without repetition, like a final seal. Gradually begin to widen awareness, bringing in the sounds around you, the space you are in, while maintaining the calm clarity you've cultivated. Notice how identity feels less like an abstract idea and more like a steady orientation. When you return fully, understand that behavior no longer needs to be forced. Each small action becomes an expression of who you are aligning with. Throughout the day, you may notice yourself making choices that feel quieter, simpler, and more aligned. When that happens, acknowledge it gently. Recognition reinforces identity. Lasting change does not come from trying harder, but from becoming more coherent. And that coherence grows naturally when awareness, belief, and action begin moving in the same direction.